All right, hello, hello. Turn that down a little bit. Hey, gang. That's the immortal John Lennon. And very apropos, that's the first cut off of Anthology 1, which is a great 6-disc set of Beatles rarities and outtakes, etc., that have been out for a while now. I want to say they've been out for like 10 years now. Anyway, the reason I'm turning on the camera today is to talk to you about the Beatles. By far my very favorite music group of all time. And big news is happening next week. Today is Thursday the 3rd, and next week on Tuesday the 9th, or is it Wednesday the 9th? I don't know, it's the 9th. It's 09/09/09. Big things are happening with the Beatles. So I'm in my bedroom now, my temporary bedroom here, until I get my own apartment, just as a change of scenery. Maybe that's too close. Whoa. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's happening. So in case you haven't heard, and I hadn't heard until about a week ago, the entire Beatles catalog is coming out on CD next, on the 9th. Completely remastered for the first time in about 20 years. They've remastered the CDs. And basically, there's two ways that they're going to be offered. I don't want to get too technical on this because, there's only a small percentage of you who would be interested in this. But there's basically going to be a standard box set and standard CDs available where they've remixed all the Beatles albums, the 13 studio albums and the 2 past masters albums, in stereo. As many of you may know, when the Beatles first started recording in the early 60s, there was no stereo. Everything was in mono, which means the same musical information comes out of both the left and the right speaker. And as the Beatles, music evolved and as technology evolved and stuff in the 60s, by the time they got to Sgt. Pepper and their later works like Abbey Road and Let It Be, they started to release their music in stereo. So what they've done is they've gone back in and the early Beatles hits, the kind of Mop Top Fab Four hits, those first, say 8 or 9 tracks on the One album, if that's the only Beatles album you have. I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You, all those big early hits, A Hard Day's Night. They've gone back in and now are presenting them in stereo for the first time. But what they've also done, which is very interesting, is gone back in because they have to digitally kind of create that stereo. I don't want to go too much into it, but there's plenty of information on the web if you want to read about this. They've also gone in and basically recreated all of their albums, including like Rubber Soul and Revolver. I think they stop at the White Album, which is just the Beatles, in true mono. Which is a real treat for some really diehard fans like myself. To hear certain tracks in mono would really change the way they sound, etc. From what I can gather from reading online, the mono box set is a limited edition. Now, that could just mean an initial pressing, and they're limiting it to some ridiculously small number for, because there's so many Beatles fans in the world. I want to say it's 10,000. It might be 100,000, but even 100,000 of something when you're talking about the Beatles is a very small number. But it might be just 10,000. I know Amazon is sold out of whatever they were allocated. There are a few websites around that have it. Anyway, the big box set is going to be about $250. It's all, like I said, it's like 17 discs because you get all 13 studio albums. And when I say studio albums, I include Yellow Submarine, the soundtrack album. There are 12 regular albums, the 2 past masters discs. Of course, the White Album is a double album, so that's an additional disc if you're talking about 17 actual CDs. And there's actually a DVD in there too, where the Beatles have gone in and put in little clips and documentary stuff on each remastered album. They're all collected onto one DVD. So that's probably what I'll be buying. It's on sale right now at Amazon for like $180, which I really, to be honest, don't have right now. I still haven't found a job, and I don't know if I can buy it right away, but I really want to. So my question of the vlogs is, what is your favorite Beatles song? Let's see if I can pull mine up real quick. Well, I have so many. It's really hard. I have kind of like, there's a separation. There's Beatles before Sgt. Pepper and Beatles after Sgt. Pepper. And there really are two distinct time periods when you look at the Beatles, who didn't make music that long when it comes right down to it. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, I can do this way. And so I have a huge number of Beatles songs that are just really, you know, so near and dear to me. But my favorite is right here. Dun, dun, dun. There it is. And it's probably no huge surprise. It's off of Rubber Soul. Rubber Soul and Revolver, if you're a Beatles fan, I think have to be among your favorite Beatles albums. They're just so amazingly excellent, and they're transition albums from the teeny bopper phase to the more mature phase of their careers. And Revolver is definitely my favorite Beatles album. Okay, so my questions of the vlog. This is probably getting really long. Let me check real quick. Yes, we are at 7 minutes. Okay, my questions of the vlog. What's your favorite Beatles song? You can list one or two if you want. You don't have to just list one. But if you have one, what's your favorite Beatles song? Do you have a favorite Beatle? Is it John, Paul, George, or Ringo? And have you seen A Hard Day's Night? I'm always curious because most of you are younger than me. And I was obviously born the year before the Beatles broke up. So by no means am I an original Beatles fan, but you know, I've seen everything and watched everything, every documentary, everything. So have you seen A Hard Day's Night? It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and so worth seeing. So next week, big Beatles news. If you just want to buy Revolver, for instance, if you've never bought a Beatles album, an entire Beatles album other than a greatest hits album, please buy Revolver. They'll be on sale individually for like 12 or 13 bucks. So I encourage you very much to try some of their albums. The other big news is, for the first time, and this is just a rumor right now, the Beatles catalog might appear on iTunes. Of course, many of you know that the Beatles had a record label called Apple. And for many years, Apple Computers and the Apple record label that the Beatles own fought a legal battle over the rights to the logo, etc., etc. And it looks like it's all getting resolved. Of course, you can now get Paul McCartney music, George Harrison music, so it's slowly on iTunes. But the Beatles themselves, the largest recording group in history, have never been available on iTunes, and people are speculating that on 9/09, September 9th, that's going to change. So if you're an iTunes person, check iTunes next week and see if the Beatles show up. But anyway, I'll definitely do a product review if I get the big box set. I'll put a link to it on Amazon so you can go check it out if you're interested in what it's all about. And I'm really looking forward to next week. If I can get all my albums and stuff back from Japan, my boxes still haven't arrived, I might do a contest of some kind and give away all my old Beatles albums, just, you know, for casual fans that just want a free CD, because I won't really need them anymore. Okay? So peace, love, Beatles. Hope you enjoyed watching, and talk to you soon. Bye.